Stand by SOT1.
Standing.
10 seconds. Ready, rollin'. Ready, SOT1.
Ready.
In 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll in.
From legendary Uncle Studios in beautiful Southern California, welcome to another edition of Work Comp Matters, the central location for you employees, you employers, and of course, we haven't forgotten about you damn independent contractors. And now, here's this week's edition of Work Comp Matters. June 29th, 12:03. Welcome to another edition of WorkComp Matters. My name is Steve Appell, and we are brought to you by the workcompcentral.com. If you want the number one location for workers' compensation in both California and around the United States, check out the workcompcentral.com. They've got a free 7-day offer, and if you want to pick up their services, I have them. You should too. It's only $1 a day. Work Comp Matters is also brought to you by A1 Law. Number one computer management system, 818-357-4120 for your no strings attached money back guaranteed, $1 a day. Also, A1 Law. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm joined by my chief of staff, the doctor, but he's not a medical doctor, Mike Zima. And Mike, do me a huge favor. Have Karina bring me a bottle of water, please. Thank you very much. We also were hoping to be
coming right up.
Yeah, ask and I shall receive. What can I tell you? We're supposed to be joined by the madman across the water, John Scalia, but apparently he is technically challenged. He may or may not be joining us shortly. The main thing in the news, which I posted yesterday, Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, yesterday at 12 noon, the Gav, issued an order closing all bars in Los Angeles and 6 other counties. Additionally, he gave notice to about 7 other counties as well, including Ventura County, to close the bars as well. And I posted this, and this blew up on my Facebook, as close to anything coming viral as possible, because this basically affects all of California. And the Gav is closing bars because people are not being responsible with their social distancing practices. Now, the main example of this blowing up and explaining what's going on is in a response that I just recently looked at from Sarah Norzad. And Sarah, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right if you're listening, and I'm not picking on you. It's just a classic example of what I want to talk about, because I posted that Newsom orders bars closed in Los Angeles and 6 other California counties due to coronavirus spread. And Sarah gave a classic response of just about half the responses, which essentially said, well, it's about time, or they never should have been opened. And of course, in Appellian style, I said, why? Response came back, because the young people that are going to the bars do not know, or they choose not to practice the appropriate social distancing. And of course, my response is, well, gee, don't old people like me go to bars too? And the response came back, quote, I think the older generation for sure goes to bars, for they are being mindful and careful right now. The younger generation do not think anything can harm them. Now, I'm not disagreeing with what Sarah says. And in fact, I believe at least half of you out there, maybe I'm wrong, feel exactly the way Sarah is. But to me, this is not a medical issue. This is a First Amendment issue, okay? I mean, bars have been open traditionally, are allowed to stay open in Los Angeles until 2 a.m. since I can remember. If you're in New York, and in fact, I think some counties in Los Angeles before COVID-19 allowed bars to stay open till 4 in the morning. Okay, certainly in New York, they're allowed to be open in 4 in the morning. I have never subscribed to this. There is an old saying, and you all know I'm a huge believer in cliches, that nothing good happens to your career or your health if you're out in public out past 12 midnight. Okay? Now, bars, when someone goes and gets loaded or they get served, and I just got notified that John Scalia has joined. John, you're in, yes?
Yeah, I just got the notice.
Fantastic. We'll deal with the technical issues later. I'm in the middle of my rant. I just wanted to make sure that you were there. Scott, thank you for notifying me. Bars have been open till 2 a.m. for decades, if not centuries. If you were to take a poll, and I certainly don't have the statistical or analytical information right now, for people that leave a bar drunk, get into a car and kill somebody, or get into an accident, or have a bad thing happen to them. And of course, we have documented famous people. I don't want to go into names, but singers, actors, actresses, politicians drive a car after getting loaded. I guarantee you a majority of this time happens after 12 midnight. Between 12, they leave the bar between 12 and 2 in the morning. What I'm trying to say is that a bar is a completely legitimate tax-paying business. And because either the patrons of the bar or the managers and the owner of the bar cannot appropriately or choose not to appropriately control social distancing, that does not mean that all bars should be closed. That means that the current laws and executive orders regarding social distancing should be enforced. Now, you might ask, well, who's going to enforce it? Well, I remember quite frequently that businesses such as bars and nightclubs that have a history of either violence or people getting too intoxicated to drive and not taking a taxi, not taking an Uber. Well, they had law enforcement officers parked right outside the bar to arrest you and take you into custody. Okay? I realize there is a spike, a large spike in the coronavirus. I mean, just driving to the office today on the freeway, there is considerably more traffic. And we talked on the show many times, especially with John, John lives in Munich, Germany. The people in Munich are considerably more compliant with wearing their mask and their social distancing. However, I got to tell y'all, when I go out into public, most of the people are wearing masks. Clearly, when I go to do my shopping or when I go into a private or public business, they are refusing service for those that do not wear masks. Of course, the problem is when you go to a restaurant, when you go to a bar, as soon as you are seated at your table or at the bar or whatnot, you're not required to wear a mask. And one of my favorite drinking establishments, which is classified as a restaurant in Woodland Hills, Paoli's Piano Bar and Grill, they've had to redesign their entire dining area, and they are not allowed to have live music. This has not been fully disclosed, but it is a fact that at this stage of the reopening, and I think we're still in stage 2, but I could be wrong, here in Southern California, live music apparently is not allowed at restaurants. that would be not only karaoke, but as well as a live piano player or a live singer. How this helps control the spread of the coronavirus, I have no idea. I have no problem whatsoever with bars being forced to close, say at 12 midnight or even 11 or 10 for that matter. I don't have a problem with that. Now, apparently, a majority of the younger generation is contributing to this whole spread of the uptick in the coronavirus diagnosis. Now, obviously, it would be age discrimination to say, well, if you're under 40, you've got a 10 p.m. curfew. But if you're an old fart like me in your 60s, stay out all night, because I know how to practice social distancing, but those under 40 do not. But you can't do that. That's age discrimination, okay? It's real easy for the Gav on Sunday at 12 noon to issue an executive order closing all bars. That's easy. That's easy to enforce. If you're open, you're a bar, you're against the law. You can be fined, have your license taken away, or whatever. But it's a lot more difficult to enforce having a curfew at 12 midnight, 11 a.m., 10 a.m. It's a lot more difficult to enforce appropriate social distancing inside a bar. And if there has to be a line outside, heck, when I go to restaurants, when I go to my electronics store, where I go anywhere, okay, you've got taped X's 6 feet apart outside. I was at a store on Saturday and I was planning on purchasing something. I'm not going to say what. And this type of store apparently falls under the same rules and regulations as an electronics store. They are not allowed to have more than one person in the store for each employee that's in the store, okay? And I was in a line of about 15 to 20 people, which if you were at the end of the line, it took over 2 hours to get into the store because the store was probably about 2,000 square feet. They had 2 or 3 people in the store, and they had 2 people outside the store to make sure that they were appropriately practicing their social distancing. This store did not want to close. This store carries items, I'm not going to say what, that they do not want to be closed down, and they are heavily regulated. So the store was being responsible for their customers. Well, apparently a lot of the bar owners out there basically said, I don't give a shite. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And there are a lot of bad apples out there that spoiled it for all the responsible bar owners. This decision is, I believe, a violation of First Amendment rights for all the bar owners out there. I do not own a bar. I do not frequent bars that often. I'd rather go to a nice bar and grill. I have no desire on a even semi-regular basis to just go to a plain old bar. I did that in my younger days. I'm an old fart now, okay? I like to have a little bit of class with my tequila. This decision is a very easy one for the Gav to make because he can just, with the stroke of a pen, close all bars in California. I don't like the decision. I think it's a violation of First Amendment rights. If I were a bar owner, if I had a stake in the game, a horse in the race, I would probably be out there protesting. But I don't think you're going to see that. And this is another example of how our rights are slowly being whittled away. My name is Steve Appell. You're dialed into Work Comp Matters. We're brought to you by the workcompcentral.com. If you want the #1 location for workers' compensation in both California and around the United States, check out the workcompcentral.com. They've got a free 7-day offer. And if you want to pick up their services, I have them. You should too. It's only $1 a day. Work Comp Matters is also brought to you by A1 Law, #1 computer management system, 818-357-4120. For your no strings attached money back guarantee, $1 a day, A1 Law. We're going to go to John Scalia in a bit because I asked him as a special favor to do something on the stimulus packages. But I want to go to our first news story, and here is my chief of staff, Dr. Mike Zyma.
Well, you just talked about the bars. Do you want me to read the story about the bars? I mean, it fills in some gaps. Do you want me to do that?
You just ruined my perfect segue, Dr. Mike. Read the damn story, please.
Okay, here we go. Bars are forced to shut again, and some owners aren't happy. Governor Gavin Newsom ordered 7 California counties where the coronavirus is spreading rapidly to close their bars Sunday. He also recommended, but did not require, that bars close or remain shuttered in 8 other counties, including Santa Clara and Contra Costa in the Bay Area. Quote, COVID-19 is still circulating in California and in some parts of the state growing stronger, said the Gav. That's why it is critical we take this step, end of quote. At least one bar owner in Fresno, Tim Farragon, owner of the Tower District Speakeasy, the Library at Detention, said he was not happy with the decision. He said it's very difficult to do business in California.
And I thank you very much for that. I now want to go to John Scalia. I posted something on my Facebook about the different countries and what stimulus packages that they are offering. Of course, here in California, some people got a $1,200 stimulus check for 1 month, didn't get anything else. Others got more, most got less. But John, thank you for taking the time over the weekend, and go ahead and go for it.
Yeah, well, okay. I will pass over how many people Steve offended with his rant. But anyway, back to the stimulus package.
John, I don't know about offended, but I'm sure that both you and Mike don't agree with it, and I'm sure probably at least half the people listening to me.
First of all, you use the name of a religious sect as a swear word, so I'd say that's offensive.
Well, what did I use?
Apparently, you don't like to say. Well, you know, Shiite is actually a segment of Islam.
Oh, I use the word Shiite. Oh,
yes.
Okay. Well, anybody.
Multiple times.
No. Well, yes. Anybody that was offended by my use of the word Shiite, I sincerely apologize, and I should have said shit. Okay, so yes. There you go. I apologize.
Yeah, and we can talk about how you offended constitutional lawyers too. But anyway,
how did I offend constitutional lawyers?
Because drink is nowhere protected in the American Constitution. In fact, we had prohibition. You guys had prohibition in America. It was totally legal. Prohibition was overturned as a result of another law, which overturned the prohibition law. I mean, alcohol is a totally regulated industry, so it's not guaranteed.
I think he's talking about assembly, John. John, I think he's talking about assembly. I think he's talking about assembly.
If the bars wanted to have assembly for people with no drinks, then I would say it's a constitutional issue. But if you're talking about having an assembly because people want drinks, then it's not.
Well, then the Gav just could have come out and said, I'm not closing bars. I'm just preventing them from serving booze and leave them all open.
Well, we all know that would not be possible. But anyway.
And I know that as part of my shopping over the weekend, I went to a liquor store and I bought some tequila. I wasn't talking about the right to drink, buy, or sell alcohol. I was talking about the right for a completely legitimate business to stay open.
Well, it's a totally regulated business. It doesn't have a right to do anything. That's what you're missing. I mean, alcohol has never been, a bar has never been an unregulated free enterprise. It's been totally regulated from the beginning to the end. and they don't have any constitutional right or any other kind of right to exist. They're statutory, and whatever the state gives them, the state can take. I mean, that's the way it's always been. But anyhow, let me go to the stimulus package. Steve asked me to check into the stimulus packages in various countries because, as you know, I'm fond of mocking America's response to the stimulus. By the way, America is on the list of countries not allowed to travel to the European Union this summer. But anyway, the difference in relief to the citizens of various countries is amazing. For example, the stimulus relief in Germany is up to a little over $7,300 per individual, depending on how much you earn. And if you're an independent contractor, the ones Steve always dutifully mentions, in Germany, you can get up to $5,000 per month if you've been put out of business or your business is on hold. In Denmark, it's $3,288 per month. In Australia, it's $1,993. I don't know whether that's Australian dollars or American dollars because another source I checked said it was $1,000 in Australia, but it's per month. In Ireland, it's $1,793.44. In Holland, it's 90% of your wage. In the United Kingdom, it's 80% of your wage. In South Korea, it's 70% of your wage. In Belgium, it goes up to $1,400 a month. In Hong Kong, it's 50% of your wage. And in Japan, it's only $930 per month, but it's still per month, not a one-time deal. So yes, these economies, most of which are socialist, by the way, provide far greater relief to their citizens than the United States. And the source I checked to verify the statistics, Steve sent me a Facebook post which had the stats, and he asked me to check. And I went to for Business Insider, which I take it is fairly pro-business. So I checked the stats against the stats that the Business Insider article had, and I also checked it against another website called Company News Headquarters. So I checked it against two different sites, and those are the facts. So obviously, when it comes to coronavirus relief, America is true to the principle of dog eat dog, and it's your own problem. And if you're out of work, you're out of luck, and here's $1,200, too bad. But in the socialist countries, you get taken care of. So you can rant and rave about how much tax you have to pay in a socialist country. But guess what? When you need the money, it's there.
And
John, could you go over those numbers in Germany again, please?
Sure. In Germany, an individual can get up to $7,300 per month. And if you're a freelancer, you can get up to $5,000 per month.
Are they printing money? How can they possibly afford that?
Okay,
I guess they are.
Every government prints.
We're running
how money works. Every government prints money.
Money
is an illusion.
Mike wanted to talk about something specific, but if he wants to talk to John more about what's going on in Germany, we can do his segment tomorrow. Mike, your call.
Okay. No, that's just mind-boggling to me. I mean, no government has enough money to do that. But what do I know?
No. Hold on. I'll get to your segment in just a moment. I just wasn't sure if you wanted to talk to John more and hold your segment off tomorrow. John, really quickly, ABC, Alcohol Beverage Control. They certainly have the right to pull anybody's liquor license. But I have a question. Do they have the right to keep you shut down without, do they have the right to keep you shut down, doors closed?
I don't know if ABC does. The governor does. And I think ABC has the right to shut you down if they have a good reason, like you violate the liquor law. It's extremely regulated.
All right, very good. We've got about 6-7 minutes left. Mike, you wanted to talk about something specific, and then we'll go ahead and close the show. So go for it.
Okay. I don't know whether I'm going to take 6 minutes, but I got a letter.
Good. Please take two or three. Thank you.
Okay. I got a letter from Nancy Pelosi. All righty. Now, of course, it's a form letter, and it's asking for donations. But there's a quote in here that when I read it, I nearly fell off my chair. Okay. And it's 2 pages long. It says, quote, Republicans are shattering fundraising records with the RNC raising about $215 million to the DNCs, about $82.5 million in 2019. As the Real Clear Politics recently reported, and okay, this is a quote within a quote from Real Clear Politics, impeachment has been a boon to GOP fundraising and grassroots organizing, end quote. And my question is, well then, why did the Dems proceed with an impeachment that they knew would never prevail? I don't understand that. That's what I'm saying.
I'm curious as to how you got a letter from Nancy Pelosi asking for money, since you're not a Democrat. But anyway.
No, he is.
Who
No,
you
he is a
who
Democrat.
you calling not a Democrat?
Corey, hold on. Mike has said on the show many times he is what we colloquially call a Reagan Democrat.
Oh, wow. Well, Reagan wasn't a Democrat.
That's
He
not,
used to be.
that's not the
He
point.
used to be.
Right? John, in case you probably know that, maybe you don't, John. My father also classified himself as a Reagan Democrat, basically a middle of the road conservative Democrat, at least my father considered, still does, I think, a Reagan Democrat.
We actually exist.
Yes. Well, in any event, it's a spurious question, because you don't launch an impeachment proceeding based on the fundraising consequences. You launch an impeachment proceeding, if you're being honest, because you think there's been a serious violation of the American trust. And I think there was.
Thank you.
So I mean,
Thank you.
I think it was a valid proceeding. They didn't, it wasn't going to carry because it was partisan, and it shouldn't have been. But if it hadn't been partisan, I think the guy should have been convicted and impeached.
Yeah, well, one of the first things that the Dem wanted to do is to push the proceedings back so they could get further discovery documents. But I really didn't want to talk about the impeachment. If you guys want to talk about the impeachment, that's old news. We can do that on another show. And we are just about out of time. In closing the show, I want to apologize to those Shiites out there. I want to apologize to the constitutional law scholars out there. I want to apologize to anybody that's either against bars reopening or in favor of bars reopening. And last but not least, I want to apologize to Mr. John Scalia. John, I'm terribly sorry if I offended you. And as always, I don't agree with everything you've said on today's show, but I certainly appreciate your contribution. Thank you very much. I'm glad you overcame your technological issues, and I'm not saying that they were yours. You were just involved with them. Dr. Mike, thank you very much for your segment. I think I announced I got a letter from Donald Trump a couple of weeks ago asking for money as well, but I just kind of gave it a quick glance and discarded it in the trash can there. Thank you, everybody, for listening to another edition of Work Comp Matters. For John Scalia, Mike Zyma, Scott Walton of legendary Uncle Studios, and all the good people back at work, the Work Comp Central, that continue to support and approve of this valuable podcast, including but not limited to Ms. Kristen Chavez. My name is Steve Appell. We'll see you again tomorrow at noon for another edition of Work Comp Matters.